Hey guys, welcome to Peripheral Vision, and today we're taking a look at the Super Scope 6 for the Super Nintendo. This massive light gun, released in 1992 by Nintendo, is a special controller that is used in various shooting games on the console. Now, there's a lot of things I like about this peripheral, both in design and concept, but there's a handful of areas as far as execution where it falters, but I'll get to those in a little bit. Let's take a look at the box. As you can see, it includes a specific game for it called Super NES Super Scope 6, which is a compilation of shooting minigames. Look on the back. There's a preview of the game that comes with it. And here at the bottom you can see, you can tell a game is compatible with the Super Scope if it has this little icon on the front of the cart. Let's open this thing up and see what comes with it. Now, the complete Super Scope 6 would have 6 individual pieces, which is where I imagine the 6 in the name comes from. First and foremost, you have the actual cart, which is the minigame compilation. Then we have the main unit, which looks really cool. I love the way that this is designed. It's kind of like a bazooka. And when playing, you put this little rest thing on your shoulder and look through it, like this. You can see on the top, there's 2 buttons, a fire button and a pause button, and this switch, which turns the gun on, as well as activates its turbo mode. There is a third button back here called the cursor. Now, its purpose is, if you were to pause the game and hold down the cursor button, and press fire twice, it would automatically reset your game. On this section of it, this is where the batteries go. It takes 6 AA batteries, which is a lot, and it doesn't drain them as fast as some peripherals do, but it definitely racks up some cost if you're playing a lot of games with this. On the front, you have the actual tip of the gun and the sensor, and the way you can tell if it's working is if you put the batteries in and this part lights up to indicate the infrared, and that is the main unit. Next you have this, which is the attachment which allows you to put the Super Scope's scope onto the gun. The way you put it on is simply slide it into one of these notches. Now you can put it on this side with this set of notches, or there's also a set over here for people that are left and right-handed. And that's kind of unique. There's not really a lot of controllers that are ambidextrous like that. Next up, we have the actual scope. Now keep in mind, this is actually 2 pieces, this rubber tip and the cylinder. Now, when playing, you would be looking into this, and it would focus your sights onto the specific area of the screen where the light gun would be shooting. And the way you put it in is, you'll notice a little notch along the center here, and that's where this little section goes. And sometimes you gotta fiddle around with it a bit. There we go. And there you go. That's what the Super Scope 6 looks like in its entirety. But there's one more piece, and that is the sensor. Now this works a little bit like the Wii sensor bar. You plug it into the second player port on your Super Nintendo and place this on the top of your TV, and it registers the Super Scope's infrared, and that is actually what allows it to know when and where you're shooting. So how does the Super Scope 6 hold up? Well, I like the look and the idea behind it, but there's a few little issues that I can't help but notice. Having the fire button on top, for example, feels kind of counterintuitive. I would have expected it to be around here, more like a regular gun. The second is, although it looks like a massive controller, is actually kind of small and awkward. On the box it shows a little kid using it, but as an adult, putting this up on your shoulders feels kind of weird. Third, and probably most problematic, is the fact that there are a lot of little pieces here that can go missing, and most of those pieces make the Super Scope kind of unfunctional. Like, you can not have the scope, but it makes pinpointing where this thing will shoot a lot more difficult. Also, a common problem I found is that these things don't hold up very well on the inside. I have had 3 different Super Scope 6s, and only one of them have actually worked. As a collector, this is a really interesting piece, and there are fun games to play with it. However, as a typical gamer, I wouldn't advise anyone picking this up. But if you do, have a blast. Later days.